What's up, everybody? This is Francel. Once again in the lab with my boy Christian. Today we have a special guest, Miss Lisa Creighton. She's a realtor with Coldwell Banker. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Couldn't be better. We're in the world of paradise.
Yeah, it's a little chilly today, though.
It's a little humid.
I didn't catch the humidity. I just realized, where's my jacket at?
Yeah, that'll be like Wednesday or Thursday. It's only going to get 69.
No, see, that's below a jacket for me. Now I'm putting on thermal underwear, sweatsuit, all of those things.
Exactly.
Yep. I told my dad, I'm like, man, it is so cold here today. He was like, what's the temperature? I'm like, 70. He was like, stop crying. It's 31 degrees here in Ohio. And I'm like, hey, listen. I didn't ask for 31, but I did ask for 75 and above. You know what I mean? So 70 to me is really cold.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
So we got you on the show today. Introduce yourself and what you do, and why do you do what you do?
Okay, so I'm a real estate agent, and I'm saying that in the general sense because I don't look at myself as an actual agent. I look at myself as a consultant or an advisor. I'm all about education. Mm-hmm. I've only actually been in the business for about 15 months, and I only moved here in March of 22, so I'm super new to the area, but I have roots. My grandparents bought down here in North Fort Myers in 1940. That was their little love nest, and that kind of brought me down here some years later, and just really wanted to connect with this community. So I thought, why not be an agent and help people just make their dream come true?
Well, a lot has changed in this area since the 1940s.
Exactly.
I mean, just look at the landscape and the beachfront property and so many different things. When I look at the older pictures, I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
The 40s really wasn't that long ago when you think about it. But when you look at how rural the west coast of Florida was, I mean, you would think that it was in the 1800s, essentially.
Yes, there was a lot of dirt roads.
Yeah. Literally. I mean, I think Punta Gorda still had people marching cows down 41.
The reason why I do it, though, is because I come from the Midwest. I'm from Michigan originally. I haven't lived there in a really long time.
Time out, man. Like, I'm still hurting from Saturday. Like,
you're busted.
It just...
Woo!
If I would have known that, I would have canceled this episode. Too soon.
But I have lived in, this is the 8th state I've actually lived in.
Okay.
Because of either being in the military or just moving. And in that process, I've come to realize that people essentially are very similar in nature. Mm-hmm. But their needs and wants are different, and I have always been about helping people. I am a Christian, and I've always been connected to my faith, and I feel like, we all have a purpose.
Yeah.
And I found real estate kind of by accident, and I just feel that, the best way I can help people is by being in this community, by volunteering my time in whatever avenues I can. Mm-hmm. And just really learning more about the people, the things that they like, the things they want to do, and just make sure that they're taken care of. It's not about that next notch in my
right.
process. It's all about the person.
Yeah. So we call it a little bit different. We just say that we're called to serve people.
Yes.
And what does that mean? It's like understanding what it is they need and how to get them what they need in the best way possible. Technically our industries are similar in regards to sales, but when we don't see it from a sales standpoint or even use the sales psychology aspect of it, because we never want to manipulate people into doing something that is beneficial to us, but may be detrimental to them. It's about, hey, we're going to educate you, give you all the information and explain it to you so that you can make the best decision possible for you in your situation.
Yeah, because I'm always asked that question, like, how's the market? Well, it's all in your realm of, how you relate to this community or any other community for that matter. It's every situation is going to be different. So it's all in your perspective. And honestly, I don't like to really answer that question because my opinion and what I've researched may not be the same as yours.
Yeah, exactly. Well, people say, hey, how much does the air conditioner cost? Is it expensive? I'm like, hey, I could sell a $20,000 air conditioner to a person who's a multimillionaire, and they say, oh, that was cheap. So it's all relative to, number one, what is it that you want to get out of it?
Exactly.
And number two, what do you feel the value of it is to you personally? And I think that's where you get that information from, the personal connection, the personal conversations, and building the relationship with your customer or your consumer.
Yeah. So real estate, I get that connotation of, you're one of those. And sometimes I want to say, no, that's not me. I can't sell you something. I have to be honest. I don't want to take this for granted because I feel that it happens a lot in Florida anyway. There's a lot of fraud. So I feel that I don't want to be a fake. I don't want to, I want to be authentic. I want to be myself.
Well, this is the first time I'm hearing like a negative connotation of realtors. For us, like the crooks are always the contractor or the AC guys, because a lot of people don't know about what we do and how an air conditioner works. And anytime we show up to a job, they're like, oh, here we go. It's going to be super expensive. So that's news to me. I never knew that.
Well, I know that it may not seem that way, but it's kind of interesting when you say that. They'll kind of give you this look like, oh, whatever. You're just gonna blow smoke. Well, honestly, I do a lot of research. I mean, that's my passion. I love learning. And if it were up to me, I'd be a perpetual college student, honestly.
That's Rose. It's hard to connect with a person like that. I'm just going to be honest. I'm like, what do you want to do? She was like, I just wish I was back in school. I can't help you with that. I'm glad I'm out of school. I don't ever want to go back to school. Let's go do something fun. And that's fun to her.
But real estate is a lot of fun too, because you get to meet so many people. Yeah. You get to see so many properties. And the more you actually put into it, the more I'm going to get out of it.
Right.
Because it's that connection. It's that feeling of like, wow, this person really likes this. And why do you like this? And
it answers the question of the why.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that.
It's kind of amazing because I'm not going to be on the market for a while, but that's okay because I feel like it's my duty and my purpose to make sure that others are able to enjoy what Florida has to offer.
Right. What's really funny, and there's a lot of similarities, is because like a lot of the jobs that we've done recently after the storm, we've done a lot of remodeling jobs where people wanted to customize their home and make it their own. And I've seen different techniques and different things, even from an air conditioning standpoint. I'm like, wow, when I build my house or when I buy my house, this is exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it this way based on what I've already seen. Even though I'm not currently in the position to do it, it always allows me to learn and adjust and see what technology is coming out next. How is it going to affect my layout or different blueprints that I want to do, and even transfer different options to customers that didn't even know that those options were available.
Exactly. That's why I do as much education that I can. I'm currently working on second home resort properties so that I can be more knowledgeable, because Florida is that one of the places you can go to where that is a thing.
Oh, wow.
Just like Michigan is, but in a different sense, because we have we have skiing and you have boating and fishing in a different time of the year. But it is, I mean, Traverse City is one of those places that is totally like, Florida in that sense in the summertime.
Okay.
Because I've vacationed there every summer when I was growing up.
See, it's funny you say it, because I have a customer who they have two businesses. They have a jet ski rental company here, but they also have a jet ski rental company in, I think, New York. So in the summertime, they go to New York and they run their jet ski rental and restaurant up there on a lake or something. But then in the wintertime or in the fall, they come down here and they run their restaurant and their water sports rental here, because, it's the same thing, just in different areas, different seasons, which kind of makes sense. And I never thought of it as like a resort. But when you think of like the Ozarks, people go to the Ozarks or Branson, Missouri. You know, these are places that are destinations that people would want to spend a lot of time there, which is really cool that now it incorporates your real estate aspect into it.
Yeah, I actually have a friend from high school that has her own brokerage. So it's
Oh, wow.
kind of nice that I have some connections up there as well. My family still lives there.
Okay.
So a lot of times I send my brochures and things like that to them so they can, you know, promote my business as well, which is nice.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, you mentioned that you're a veteran. What branch of the military did you serve in?
I was in the Army.
Uh-oh. So, wow, that's pretty intense. Not the Air Force, not the Navy.
Yeah, my boyfriend at the time, we would actually play Army out in the woods. We would actually go to where he lived, and they had this big field, and these kids would always ride their bikes and stuff, and the neighbors really didn't like it. So we actually made a punji pad, and we watched this kid go over this punji pad, and he actually wiped out. It was the funniest thing on the planet.
Wow. So how long did you serve for?
I served 2 years active,
Nice.
and then I did the reserves for 2 years. I got pregnant and had my first child.
Really cool. So I don't know if you know this, but Rose was in the military. She was in the Navy. And she wanted to go in for administration, but you know how the military is. Like, you can say you want to go in for whatever it is, but they're going to designate exactly where they want you to go.
Actually, I was very fortunate when I took the ASVAB test. They said I scored so high I could choose whatever I wanted to do and wherever I wanted to go. So I really loved Hawaii, and I really thought that would be really cool. But then I thought, well, it's just one island. It's just one place. Yeah. So that's why I picked Germany.
Oh, wow. So she scored high on the ASVAB, but they didn't need any more administrators. So they made her an MA, which is like Master of Arm or Military Police. And she was like, this is not what I signed up for. So
I was actually a medical lab technician.
Oh, wow.
And I actually got to run my own laboratory at the age of 19.
That is awesome.
I enjoyed it so much that I actually taught some of the medics just in case. I said, well, what if I get sick? I mean, there's some things that a medic could potentially do if you let me train them. And so I would train all the guys that worked in my clinic to how to draw blood. So in case that if I wasn't there, they could do it. When I got there was no standard operating procedure manual. They weren't keeping the lab slips like they were supposed to. And I went through an IG inspection, which is like a general inspection. And I came through it with such flying colors. I got a 3-day pass, and I went to Paris, France for 3 days during Bastille Day, and it was amazing.
That is awesome. So this is another place where we're similar, and our stories kind of cross. Before air conditioning, I was a medical assistant, phlebotomist, and a CNA. So, like, my heart was always to take care of people. I actually went to nursing school, and then I worked at the hospital and realized a nurse really isn't what I want to be, because there was a transition from, like, practical nursing, hands-on patient care to more clerical aspect in a hospital setting. That's not what I want to do. And then I started working in private practice for a doctor's office, which was awesome because that's when I got to do sutures and, build relationship with customers. And then I got in a car accident, and poof, a friend of my dad's like, yo, you need to go into air conditioning. And then that's when I got into AC. But it's cool that you were in the lab, because I loved being in the lab and the sounds that a lot of the machines make in the lab. And some of the funky things, like in a blood culture machine, people don't understand some of the crazy things that are growing inside of people's blood. Have you ever seen anything funky?
Yes. A lot of the guys would go and have some fun down in Frankfurt and come back with, gonorrhea and stuff like that. So, yeah, we had to actually make somebody kind of an example.
Oh, no.
This guy kept coming back month after month, and me and the guy that did that clinic decided we got to teach this guy a lesson. We didn't do it on purpose really, but we kind of had to do something because we felt kind of bad for this guy.
Yeah.
So after he got diagnosed with it again for the second or third time or whatever, he decided to put the penicillin in his hiney when it was cold. And apparently when you do that, it's extraordinarily painful.
Oh, yeah.
We never saw him again.
Yeah. Penicillin at room temperature is very like, it's smooth. When it's cold, it doesn't have the same viscosity. So it's like, it's thick.
Which then it made it real for me as far as like, I really thought I wanted to be a microbiologist because that part of lab training was so amazing to me. Like you put a little specimen on this culture thing and it grew something and you had to find out what caused it.
Right.
And the reason why I got really into it was because I had to do training every year at the main hospital in Frankfurt. And unfortunately, there was a very sick baby in the hospital when I was training there. And I felt terrible that this baby was so sick. And that's really what kind of sparked my real interest in microbiology. Unfortunately, I didn't take that path because I'm an outgoing person. And I realized that being in a laboratory, you don't talk to people really.
Right.
You're more behind the scenes. You're actually helping the doctors make that diagnosis.
Yes.
So you're very important, but it just wasn't in my wheelhouse as far as, personality.
Yeah. What's funny is I'm going to confess something to you on camera that very few people know. One day in the lab, we received a specimen that wasn't labeled, and it didn't have it didn't tell what it was or who it came from. The only thing we knew was the floor and the nurse that collected it. So in the lab, one of my responsibilities was to make sure that it either went through a pathology or a different department based on what the specimen was. So I'm sitting next to one of my coworkers and I'm like, man, this looks like sputum. I don't know if this is sputum. What do you think? And we're looking at him like, well, let's just smell it. So we crack the lid and we smell him like, this doesn't smell like anything. I don't think this is a real sample, right? And he smells and he's like, it smells like a chemical, right? So we call the floor. We're like, hey, we need this nurse. She's off. Well, they said she's off. They contact her on her cell phone and they say, hey, what was the set specimen and who was the patient the specimen went to? So she gives us all the information. They call back and they say, hey, that was a stool sample. They had C. diff and the vancomycin bleached their stool sample. So we're sitting here sniffing clear jelly poo. Passing it back and forth.
That is hilarious.
I mean, when you think about it, you're like, C. diff is highly contagious.
It is very contagious.
Very, very, very contagious. And we're just, no, that doesn't smell like poo. Like, passing it back and forth. I learned a valuable lesson that day.
I learned a valuable lesson being a patient once myself while I was on active duty. I had a bad sinus infection. It didn't go away for a long time, and they had me on antibiotics for over a month. Mm-hmm. Well, because I was on it so long, I must have gotten some type of allergy to it, and I stayed up all night itching my hands on the bed. Oh. I went down because I was in the same building that the clinic was in. Mm-hmm. And the guy downstairs looked at me, and he's like, oh, my God, what's wrong with you? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, your ears, they're almost blue. I was like, what? He goes, there's something seriously wrong with you. So they took me down to the main hospital, and I didn't really know if I was coming or going because first they give you epinephrine, they give you Benadryl and all that stuff and just pretty much set me on my way. And I'm thinking, really? You let me ride the train back from Frankfurt to Friedberg? All like not knowing, am I coming or am I going or what? So I understand from a patient perspective, like how important it is to make sure that you really take care of people and take note of, like those needs and wants and what you see.
And this is the crazy part. Hearing you say that makes me think of like, how much more beneficial would it have been if you had an advocate, someone that was not directly involved in your care that could retain that information for you to regurgitate it once you were stable. And I look at all the times my wife was in the hospital. Had I not been there, there's things that would have been missed because they're giving her the information, yes, but she's going through it. How do they expect her to retain it when she's receiving the care and then relay it back to someone else later? You know what I mean?
That's why a real estate agent is important.
Yeah.
Because we have to do all this training.
Exactly.
We have to learn the market. You have to learn the area. You have to learn people.
Yeah.
You have to understand where they're coming from. You don't sometimes know when you meet someone what their story is.
Well, think about this. Like, a lot of people think that they could just go buy a house, but they don't understand closing and what is involved in closing, or the lien aspects of properties. You know, there's been so many for sale by owners where people have purchased this house and they didn't realize that there was a lien on it, and now they have acquired this lien on their property now because they didn't go through a closing process. You know, there's so many legal aspects in your industry that you have to stay up to date on to inform people on, because it's not just a simple transaction like a lot of people may think.
Yeah, that's why it's important to have your own people that you like to refer them to, whether it's lawyers, AC people, roofers. And I have a whole network where I've actually met every single person on my network on my website. I will not put people on there unless I've actually met them, because I want to make sure that there's someone I would want to work with. And I'm very picky because I don't trust people. I'm sorry, I just don't.
See, I'm kind of opposite. I trust everyone until they give me a reason not to. And that's kind of like a downfall, I guess you would say, but to me it's less stressful that way. I don't until you tell me that I have a reason to not trust you, then everything's cool in my world. Maybe I haven't been burned enough.
That's where the military kind of ruined that for me.
Gotcha.
Being a very attractive woman in the military was not ideal.
Oh, I can see that.
And it made it very difficult for me sometimes to do my job, because the first thing they would say is, oh, you're too cute to be in the Army, blah, 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 blah. You know, it wasn't fair because they were judging me on that rather than what I could provide and what passion I had about helping people. Yeah. In essence.
Yeah, I can see where that could be a challenge. What's really cool, though, is that you're in this area, you're pursuing another form of service to help benefit people, and you're passionate about it. Your personality suits where you are now. And I know it seems like you've gone through different phases to get to where you are, but it seems like you're happy doing what you're doing now, and that you have a zeal and a passion for it, which is really cool.
I once read an article about saying people in general lose their passion at age 30. Well, I guess I must be still a little kid inside, I think, because I don't think that is true of me. Yeah. Because I feel that having this avenue to meet people, not just meet people, really get to know them. Yeah. I mean, asking the right questions, not doing it just for the sake of, it's checking off a box. Right. Because for me, I can't do that. It's more about the underlying factors of, okay, how is this going to benefit? I don't want it to benefit me necessarily. It's more about, how can I really help this person get connected to the community, their whatever it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want it to ever be about me. My passion comes from all the times that when I really needed help. Number one, I was too proud to ask. Number two, I just always had to do it on my own. I'm the eldest of 8 kids.
Wow. Yeah, I can understand that. Where I'm at, though, is similar. Is so many people say, wow, how did you find your passion for air conditioning? I'm not passionate about air conditioning. I am passionate about, number one, providing for my family. Number two, serving and helping people. And this is an avenue where I have truly been able to impact people's lives. And I mean, when you think about the demographics of our community, there's a lot of older people. And one of our policies that we have in our business is we only charge costs to the widow. Why? Because their husband or their spouse, a lot of times, were there to help in the decision-making process. some of these older ladies, they don't know if they're getting a good deal or not. They don't know if they actually need this part or not, but they have no one to advocate for them. And I've always reflected on my grandmother raising my dad and my uncles by herself after my grandfather passed. It's like, how does she know if she was taken advantage of? So now it is our mission to help those people. And that's what the Bible says. You're to take care of the widow and the orphan. So a lot of our policies and the way we operate are based on biblical principles because it's what's right.
Exactly.
And that's how we take care of people.
Yeah. One time, I want to say within the last month and a half or so, I got a customer that called in, and I really couldn't help her with her real estate needs necessarily. But when I heard her story, she was a single mom, 2 kids. They were kind of young. They were like 8 and 7, I think. And she had told me that she had gotten...
It's okay. He's going to throw his hand signals. He's just saying we got 5 minutes left.
So basically, I listened to her story and I said, I might not be able to help you with your real estate purchases now, but what I can do is I'm going to look and do some research for you, because I felt obligated as a human services management person. I went ahead and found all the resources I could find, whether it was Career Source, learning about Habitat for Humanity, all these different things. And I gave her a whole list of things so that she could take that opportunity and do it herself.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be the vessel to say, hey, here, these are the resources. I want you to do this, and let me know what you come up with.
Yeah. And that's awesome, because, sometimes even in air conditioning, they don't know how to solve their problem when they may be in a financial situation. And that's when this is where I get excited about what I do, is being able to be creative and saying, hey, all right, I know this is what you want to do. You're not able to do this, but here are like 4 or 5 other options that we can pursue to get you what you need and get you comfortable. It's not just, oh, well, we didn't sell the air conditioner, we're done. Some companies are only there for the big ticket sale of the air conditioner itself and the install, but it may not be feasible for some people. So what options do you have for them there that are going to help their financial situation or their living conditions?
Yeah.
Because I have one customer right now that truly broke my heart. When I went to her house after the storm, you could literally see mold growing on the walls because her insurance company told her not to do any form of mitigation or anything. And I'm like, how is that possible? How did they tell you not to do anything? How did they not authorize, a restoration company to come get involved? And she was like, my husband passed in his house. I raised my kids in his house. I don't want to leave this house, but I can't stay here. So then what did I do? I got into my context, and I called all of the sources that I had and said, hey, here are some people you can talk to see if they can help you through the situation. That's where the real gratification comes from. It's not the monetary aspect of it. It's being able to see a person in distress or in need and being able to help them in that situation and have a positive outcome.
Exactly. And that's my goal.
Yeah.
I'm all about helping whatever aspect, because like I said, when I needed it, there weren't people there for me.
Yeah.
And I just don't want others to be in that same situation.
Right. Yeah. That's really cool. Well, this is about the time we have. Thank you very much for coming on the show. How can people get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at my website at www.youragentinparadise.com. You can also contact me on my mobile number at 239-218-9061. And my email address is lisa.creighton@cbsunstar.com.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, everybody. This has been another awesome episode. Catch you next time.